Welcome to Book Nibbles, Big Ideas, Small Bites. Money is one of the strangest subjects in life because it is both incredibly simple and endlessly complicated. At its core, it comes down to earning, saving, investing, and spending. But when you step back and look at how people behave with money, you realize it's not the spreadsheets or the math that matter most. It's psychology. Two people can have the same income, the same opportunities, and the same resources, but make completely different choices based on how they grew up, what they've seen, and how they feel. Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money digs deep into these hidden forces, showing us that financial success has less to do with intelligence and more to do with behavior, patience, and self-awareness. The first big idea that sets the tone for the book is the difference between being good with money and being good at getting money. Making money requires risk-taking, optimism, and sometimes bold bets. Keeping money, on the other hand, requires humility, caution, and restraint. History is full of people who made fortunes only to lose them because they couldn't resist more risk. A vivid example Housel gives is about investors during the tech boom of the late 1990s. Many of them made millions, but because they assumed the boom would never end, they reinvested aggressively and lost nearly everything in the crash. The lesson is simple but profound. Making money and keeping money are two very different skills. That lesson ties directly into the idea of enough. It's easy to look at what others have and convince yourself you need more. More wealth, more status, more security. But enough is a moving target if you don't define it for yourself. There's a story in the book about a hedge fund manager who had billions of dollars, yet envied another person who made just a bit more in a single deal. The inability to feel satisfied makes wealth meaningless because no matter how much you have, someone will always appear richer, smarter, or luckier. Housel's point is clear. Knowing when you have enough is one of the most powerful forms of financial wisdom, because without it, you risk everything for something you don't truly need. Another central theme is compounding, which Housel argues is the closest thing we have to real financial magic. Compounding isn't exciting, it's not flashy, and it doesn't look like much at first. But over decades, it becomes extraordinary. Warren Buffett's fortune is the classic example. People often think Buffett's genius is in picking stocks, but the real secret is that he started young and kept going. Buffett made the majority of his wealth after his mid-60s because compounding works slowly, then suddenly. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. It takes a long time to grow, but by the time it's near the bottom, it's massive. This is why patience is one of the most underrated financial skills. Housel introduces another fascinating concept, the power of tails. In finance, tails refer to rare, extreme events that drive most outcomes. Think about venture capital firms. They invest in dozens of startups, but only one or two end up becoming billion-dollar successes. The tails drive the returns. The same pattern holds in stock markets, where a tiny handful of companies often account for the majority of market gains. What this means for an individual investor is twofold. First, don't be discouraged if many of your investments don't turn into home runs, and second, don't give up on the winners too soon. Just one or two extraordinary successes can make the difference between mediocrity and life-changing wealth. While investing strategies matter, Housel argues that psychology matters more. Market downturns are a good example. People know intellectually that markets rise over time, but in the moment, when the headlines scream panic and everyone around you is selling, fear takes over. Selling during downturns is one of the most common mistakes investors make, and it's not because they don't know better, it's because fear overwhelms logic. The solution is to build a financial plan that you can stick to emotionally, not just mathematically. If you can't sleep at night because of your investments, it doesn't matter what the expected returns are. The best plan is the one you can live with, especially during the bad times. Luck and risk also play enormous roles in financial outcomes, more than most people admit. Bill Gates is a good example. He was brilliant and hardworking, but he also happened to attend one of the only high schools in America that had a computer lab in the 1970s. That stroke of luck gave him early access to programming experience that most of his peers didn't have. On the flip side, there are countless equally brilliant people who never achieved Gates's level of success because they didn't get the same breaks. Recognizing the role of luck should inspire humility in success and compassion toward others. At the same time, acknowledging risk helps us avoid arrogance in thinking we can control everything. Another theme that threads through the book is freedom. Housel argues that the ultimate goal of money isn't status, luxury, or even security. It's control over your time. Being able to wake up and decide what to do, when to do it, and with whom is the truest form of wealth. Many people think financial independence is about hitting a certain dollar figure, but really it's about buying back your time. This perspective shifts the way you think about spending and saving. Every dollar saved isn't just money, it's a slice of future freedom. Housel emphasizes that saving money is more important than chasing high returns. People obsess over which stock to buy or which fund has the highest performance, but often overlook the simple power of a high savings rate. Someone earning $60,000 a year and saving 20% can build wealth faster than someone earning $120,000 but saving only 5%. Saving gives you flexibility, security, and optionality. It also doesn't depend on the market or on luck. It's fully within your control. In this sense, frugality is a superpower. It's not about deprivation, but about valuing independence and stability over temporary consumption. The book also warns against over-optimizing. Many people spend endless hours comparing mutual funds, researching tiny differences in fees, or chasing slightly higher returns. But those minor differences pale in comparison to the impact of simply starting early, saving consistently, and avoiding big mistakes. Over-optimization often leads to frustration or, worse, reckless risk-taking. The smarter strategy is to aim for pretty good and stick with it, rather than trying to achieve perfection and burning out along the way. Another powerful idea is margin of safety. Life is unpredictable, jobs are lost, markets crash, pandemics happen. If your financial plan only works under perfect conditions, it's fragile. Building in a margin of safety means having extra cash reserves, lower debt, and investments you can hold through volatility. It means preparing for the possibility that things will go wrong, because they often do. A margin of safety doesn't just protect your finances, it protects your peace of mind. The book also draws a distinction between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is about income. It's the flashy lifestyle, the nice cars, the big house. Wealth, on the other hand, is invisible. It's the money you don't spend, the investments that quietly compound in the background. Wealth is what gives you security and freedom. Many people confuse the two and chase richness, only to find themselves financially insecure. True wealth is built quietly, often without anyone noticing, and it's maintained through discipline and restraint. Housel uses stories throughout the book to illustrate these points. One particularly striking story contrasts two individuals, one who won the lottery and ended up bankrupt, and another who lived modestly, saved consistently, and left millions to charity. The lottery winner's downfall wasn't lack of money, it was lack of control and perspective. The saver's success wasn't dramatic. It was slow, steady, and rooted in behavior. These stories highlight that financial outcomes are less about how much you make and more about how you manage what you have. Another key lesson is to match your financial strategy to your personal temperament. Some people can handle volatility, others can't. Some thrive on risk, others lose sleep over it. The best plan isn't the one with the highest theoretical return, it's the one you can actually follow. For example, if you panic every time the stock market dips, then a portfolio of 100% stocks, even if it has the best long-term return, is a bad plan for you. Better to accept slightly lower returns and stay invested than to aim for perfection and give up during downturns. The book also talks about generational differences. People who grew up during the Great Depression view money differently than those who grew up during economic booms. Your personal history shapes your financial behavior. Someone who saw their parents lose a home might be very risk-averse, while someone who grew up in a time of abundance might be more willing to take chances. Understanding your own background helps explain why you behave the way you do with money, and helps you recognize that others may see the same decisions very differently. Finally, Housel closes with the reminder that money is a tool, not a goal. The purpose of money is to help you live the life you want, not to endlessly accumulate numbers on a screen. If chasing more makes you miserable, it defeats the purpose. The happiest people aren't necessarily the richest. They're the ones who feel content, secure, and free. Gratitude, moderation, and a sense of enough turn money into a source of peace instead of stress. So when you step back and put it all together, the message of the psychology of money is clear. Success with money is not about IQ, advanced formulas, or secret insider knowledge. It's about behavior. It's about patience, humility, resilience, and self awareness. It's about defining what's enough, saving diligently, respecting compounding, and building a plan that you can stick with through ups and downs. And perhaps most importantly, it's about recognizing that the ultimate goal of money isn't to impress others. It's to give you control over your time and to help you live a life that feels meaningful. And that's it. The Psychology of Money, Timeless Lessons on Wealth, Greed, and Happiness by Morgan Housel. Thanks for listening to Book Nibbles. If you enjoyed this bite-sized book, don't forget to subscribe for more quick, insightful summaries. See you in the next nibble.